If you have diabetes, this breakfast could be spiking your blood sugar without you even knowing it, and it often happens quietly, right at the start of your day. Blood sugar spikes are more dangerous than most people realize. Each sudden rise puts stress on your pancreas, damages blood vessels, and increases inflammation inside the body. Over time, these spikes lead to fatigue, cravings, insulin resistance, and a higher risk of complications. After 40, the body becomes less forgiving, and what you eat in the morning can either stabilize your blood sugar or push it into chaos for hours. Start your breakfast with protein. Eggs or tofu are excellent choices because protein slows digestion and prevents sudden glucose surges. Eat them boiled, lightly scrambled, or gently cooked with vegetables to keep blood sugar steady. Add plain Greek yogurt or cottage cheese. These foods support gut health and help control glucose levels. Always choose unsweetened versions and pair them with fiber instead of honey or sugar. Choose oats wisely. Steel-cut or rolled oats digest slowly and are far better than instant oats. Cook them gently and add chia seeds or flax seeds to reduce blood sugar spikes and improve fullness. Include berries like blueberries or strawberries. They are naturally low on the glycemic index and rich in antioxidants. Always eat them with protein or healthy fats, not on their own. Finish with healthy fats such as walnuts, almonds, or avocado. These fats slow glucose absorption and prevent mid-morning energy crashes. Remember, portion size matters. Even healthy foods can raise blood sugar if eaten in excess. Balance is not about restriction. It is about control and awareness. Subscribe for daily health tips, and let each morning become a powerful step toward better blood sugar control and long-term well-being. Protein is the quiet stabilizer of the diabetic breakfast, especially after the age of 40, when the body's ability to manage blood sugar becomes more delicate and less forgiving. When you begin the day with protein, you are not simply feeding hunger, you are shaping the biochemical conversation between your gut, pancreas, muscles, and brain. Protein digests slowly, and this slow digestion acts like a natural brake on glucose entering the bloodstream. Instead of a sharp rise in blood sugar that demands a sudden insulin response, the body experiences a gradual, controlled release of energy. This matters deeply for people with diabetes, because repeated spikes train the body toward insulin resistance, while steady mornings teach balance and metabolic calm. As we age, muscle tissue naturally declines, a process that quietly reduces insulin sensitivity. Protein at breakfast supports muscle maintenance, and muscles are one of the body's primary sites for glucose uptake. When muscle health is supported, glucose has somewhere to go, somewhere productive to be used rather than stored or left circulating in the blood. Eggs, tofu, lentils, Greek yogurt, or cottage cheese may seem simple, but biologically they are powerful tools. They reduce hunger hormones, increase satiety, and lower the likelihood of mid-morning cravings that often lead to sugary snacks and further glucose instability. Protein also influences brain chemistry. A protein-rich breakfast supports neurotransmitters that enhance focus and emotional regulation. This is important because stress and mental fatigue raise cortisol, and cortisol raises blood sugar even without food. By starting the day with protein, you are indirectly calming the nervous system, creating an internal environment where glucose control becomes easier rather than forced. The body responds not only to what you eat, but to how safe and supported it feels. Another overlooked role of protein is its effect on gastric emptying. Protein slows the movement of food from the stomach into the intestines, which slows carbohydrate absorption. This means that even when carbohydrates are present, they behave differently in the body. A small amount of whole grains or fruit eaten with protein has a very different impact on blood sugar than when eaten alone. Protein changes the context of the meal, transforming potential spikes into manageable rises. For diabetics over 40, protein is not about excess or bodybuilding ideals. It is about adequacy and timing. A moderate, consistent intake in the morning sets the tone for the rest of the day, reducing overeating later and supporting stable energy. It becomes a form of metabolic respect, acknowledging that the body's rhythms have changed and deserve thoughtful care. When breakfast begins with protein, the day begins with cooperation rather than correction. Fiber works quietly, often unnoticed, yet its influence on blood sugar regulation is profound, especially for people with diabetes over 40. When fiber enters the digestive system, it does not behave like sugar or refined carbohydrates. Instead of breaking down quickly and flooding the bloodstream with glucose, fiber forms a gentle, viscous presence in the gut that slows digestion and absorption. This slowing effect is critical, because it transforms how the body experiences a meal. Blood sugar rises more gradually, Insulin is released in a calmer, more controlled way, and the metabolic system avoids the stress of sudden spikes that accumulate damage over time. As the body ages, insulin sensitivity often declines, and the digestive system becomes more reactive to refined foods. Fiber acts as a stabilizing force in this environment. Soluble fiber, found in foods like oats, chia seeds, flax seeds, berries, and legumes, absorbs water and forms a gel-like substance in the intestines. This physical change delays the breakdown of carbohydrates and moderates the rate at which glucose enters the bloodstream. Insoluble fiber, found in vegetables and whole grains, adds bulk and improves intestinal movement, indirectly supporting glucose control by improving overall metabolic efficiency. Fiber also feeds the gut microbiome, the vast community of bacteria that plays a surprisingly large role in blood sugar regulation. These beneficial bacteria ferment fiber into short-chain fatty acids that improve insulin sensitivity and reduce inflammation. Chronic low-grade inflammation is common in diabetes and becomes more pronounced after 40. By nourishing the gut, fiber reduces this inflammatory burden, making the body more responsive to insulin and less prone to glucose volatility. Another important role of fiber is appetite regulation. High-fiber breakfasts increase satiety, helping people feel full longer without overeating. This reduces the likelihood of mid-morning hunger and impulsive snacking, which often leads to poor food choices and glucose spikes. Fiber supports hormones that signal fullness while dampening those that trigger cravings. This hormonal balance is especially important for diabetics, because hunger-driven eating often overrides good intentions and destabilizes blood sugar control. Fiber also changes how carbohydrates behave when eaten together. Fruit or grains consumed alone can raise blood sugar quickly, but when paired with fiber-rich foods, their impact is softened. The fiber acts as a buffer, slowing digestion and allowing the body to process glucose more efficiently. This does not mean eliminating carbohydrates, but rather respecting their interaction with fiber, especially in the morning when metabolic signals are being set for the day. For diabetics over 40, fiber is not about strict rules or deprivation. It is about creating an internal environment where glucose moves slowly, predictably, and safely. A fiber-rich breakfast teaches the body patience, reduces metabolic stress, and supports long-term vascular and cellular health. In this quiet way, fiber becomes not just nourishment, but a form of protection woven into everyday eating. Healthy fats play a calming and stabilizing role in the diabetic breakfast, particularly after the age of 40, when hormonal balance and metabolic resilience begin to shift. Unlike carbohydrates, fats have little immediate effect on blood sugar, yet their presence deeply influences how the body responds to a meal. When healthy fats are included in the morning, digestion slows, satiety increases, and glucose enters the bloodstream at a gentler pace. This slowing effect reduces the demand for rapid insulin release, giving the pancreas relief and helping prevent the sharp rises and falls that exhaust the system over time. As the body ages, hormonal signals that regulate hunger and fullness become less precise. Healthy fats help restore this communication. Foods like nuts, seeds, olive oil, and avocado activate satiety hormones that tell the brain the body has been adequately nourished. This sense of fullness is not heavy or sluggish, but steady and reassuring, reducing the urge to snack on refined carbohydrates later in the day. For diabetics, this matters because unplanned snacking often leads to glucose instability and frustration. Healthy fats also influence the nervous system. The brain is largely composed of fat, and certain fats support cognitive clarity and emotional balance. A breakfast that includes healthy fats can reduce stress-driven eating by stabilizing mood and energy. Stress hormones such as cortisol raise blood sugar independently of food, and after 40, cortisol responses often become more pronounced. By supporting the brain and nervous system, healthy fats indirectly support glucose control, creating a more stable internal environment where blood sugar is easier to manage. Another important role of fat is its effect on gastric emptying. Fat slows the movement of food from the stomach into the intestines, which means carbohydrates are absorbed more slowly. This changes the entire metabolic response to a meal. A small serving of oats or fruit eaten with nuts or seeds produces a very different blood sugar curve than the same foods eaten alone. Fat does not eliminate carbohydrates, but it reframes how the body experiences them, turning potential spikes into manageable rises. Healthy fats also support cellular health. Cell membranes rely on fats to remain flexible and functional, which is essential for insulin receptors to work properly. When cell membranes are healthy, insulin can communicate more effectively, allowing glucose to enter cells with less resistance. This becomes increasingly important with age, as cellular communication naturally declines. Including healthy fats at breakfast becomes a subtle way of supporting insulin sensitivity at the cellular level. For diabetics over 40, healthy fats are not about excess or indulgence. They are about moderation and quality. A small handful of nuts, a spoon of seeds, or a slice of avocado is enough to create balance without excess calories. When used thoughtfully, healthy fats bring calm to digestion, stability to blood sugar, and satisfaction to the eating experience. In this way, fat becomes not something to fear, but something to respect as a quiet ally in long-term metabolic health. Timing and rhythm play a powerful role in blood sugar control, often equal in importance to the foods themselves, especially for diabetics over 40. The human body operates on internal clocks, known as circadian rhythms, that regulate hormones, digestion, and glucose metabolism. In the morning, the body is naturally more sensitive to insulin, meaning it can move glucose out of the bloodstream and into cells more efficiently. Eating breakfast during this window works with the body rather than against it, allowing blood sugar to rise gently and return to balance more smoothly. Skipping breakfast or delaying it for many hours can quietly disrupt this rhythm. When the body senses prolonged fasting after waking, the liver compensates by releasing stored glucose into the bloodstream to maintain energy for the brain. For someone with diabetes, this liver-driven glucose release can raise blood sugar even before any food is eaten. Over time, this pattern contributes to higher fasting glucose levels and increased insulin resistance. Eating a balanced breakfast early helps signal to the liver that external fuel is available, reducing unnecessary glucose output. The pace at which breakfast is eaten also matters. Rushed meals activate the stress response, increasing cortisol and adrenaline. These hormones prepare the body for action, not digestion, and they raise blood sugar as part of that response. Even a well-balanced breakfast can have a less favorable effect on glucose if eaten in a state of hurry or tension. Taking time to eat slowly allows the parasympathetic nervous system to engage, supporting digestion, insulin release, and glucose uptake in a more harmonious way. As people age, sleep patterns often change, and disrupted sleep further alters circadian rhythms. Poor sleep increases morning insulin resistance, making blood sugar harder to control. A consistent breakfast routine helps anchor the body's internal clock, reinforcing regular hormonal patterns despite imperfect sleep. This consistency reduces metabolic confusion and improves overall glucose stability across the day. Eating breakfast at a similar time each day also influences appetite regulation. The body learns to anticipate nourishment, aligning hunger hormones with mealtimes. This reduces erratic hunger later in the day and lowers the likelihood of overeating or late-night snacking, which can worsen blood sugar control. For diabetics over 40, this predictability becomes a form of metabolic training, teaching the body when to expect energy and how to use it efficiently. Timing is not about rigid rules or eating by the clock with anxiety. It is about listening to biological signals and responding with regularity and calm. A balanced breakfast eaten mindfully and at a consistent time creates a steady metabolic foundation. It aligns digestion, hormones, and glucose control into a coherent rhythm that supports energy, clarity, and long-term health. In this quiet way, timing becomes an invisible but powerful ingredient in managing diabetes with compassion and intelligence. The emotional state in which breakfast is eaten has a direct and measurable effect on blood sugar, especially for diabetics over 40, whose stress responses tend to linger longer than they once did. The body does not separate emotional stress from physical threat. When the mind feels rushed, anxious, or overwhelmed, the nervous system releases stress hormones such as cortisol and adrenaline. These hormones raise blood sugar by signaling the liver to release glucose, preparing the body for action rather than digestion. This means blood sugar can rise even before food is absorbed, turning an otherwise balanced breakfast into a metabolic challenge. A calm, mindful breakfast sends a very different message to the body. When the nervous system senses safety, digestion becomes more efficient, insulin works more effectively, and glucose is absorbed at a slower, more controlled pace. This is not a psychological idea alone. It is a biological response rooted in the connection between the brain and the gut. The vagus nerve, which links the digestive system to the brain, functions best when the body is relaxed. For diabetics, this relaxed state improves insulin sensitivity and supports smoother glucose regulation throughout the morning. Mindful eating also changes how much we eat and how we perceive fullness. When breakfast is eaten slowly, the body has time to release satiety hormones that signal satisfaction. This reduces overeating and prevents the sudden blood sugar rises that come from large portions consumed quickly. After 40, these hormonal signals often become delayed, making slow eating even more important. Mindfulness restores communication between the gut and the brain, helping the body recognize when it has had enough. Emotional gentleness in the morning extends beyond the meal itself. A calm breakfast routine reduces decision fatigue and mental stress, both of which influence glucose control. Starting the day with intention and presence creates a psychological environment where healthier choices follow more naturally. This reduces the likelihood of stress-driven snacking or emotional eating later in the day, which often destabilizes blood sugar and undermines good intentions. There is also a deeper layer to emotional calm and metabolic health. Chronic stress contributes to inflammation, which worsens insulin resistance over time. By cultivating moments of calm, even briefly during breakfast, the body experiences a reduction in inflammatory signaling. This supports vascular health, nerve function, and long-term glucose stability. For diabetics over 40, who may already carry years of metabolic strain, these small daily reductions in stress accumulate into meaningful physiological benefits. A mindful breakfast is not about perfection or meditation rituals. It is about presence, slowing down, and allowing the body to receive nourishment without fear or urgency. Eating in silence for a few moments, breathing deeply before the first bite, or simply sitting without distractions can shift the nervous system into a state that supports healing rather than defense. In this way, breakfast becomes more than nutrition. It becomes a quiet act of self-respect, teaching the body that care is consistent, safety is present, and balance is possible each morning. If this video helped you understand diabetes breakfast in a new way, subscribe for more science-based health guidance, like the video to support the channel, and share it with someone who needs to protect their heart naturally.